Hey everybody, Mike Lowe here. Gonna get started in just a minute. I was just posting out a couple of things there to try and get people connected here with the new channel and just kind of the first stream. I know sometimes it's tricky to see what's going on, but yeah, welcome. Thanks for tuning in. Sorry for the slight delay there in the beginning, but this is going to be a darn it, it's going to be a 162 game every pitch franchise stream. I will not be streaming every single game this year. What I'm planning to do, just right off the bat, is I want to stream Wednesdays, 7 p.m. Eastern, and Sundays, 7 p.m. Eastern. The Sunday time slot, I'm not exactly for sure on, but that's the plan. Again, I won't only be playing those times, or those are the games that I'll stream. I'll have the commentary off in the game so that we can talk a little bit about sliders, baseball strategy, baseball in general, coronavirus, whatever the heck you want to talk about. So this is my Tigers franchise. I decided to go with the Tigers. They are my favorite team, but also I think an interesting team to take. As much as I really don't like a traditional rebuild, I know a lot of other people do, and that was one of the reasons why I also took them, is that they're an interesting team in regards to. I mean, they've been in a rebuild here for quite a long time. They're about a year away or so from recovering from some really bad contracts with Miguel Cabrera's contract, for instance, still being around for a number of years after the 2020 season. So I did post a video earlier that I put together, um, and it's really short. It's just kind of going over how to set up 30 team control. So if you want a little bit more information on that, it's not the world's most thorough example of how to do it, but I at least show you how I set it up and why I do a couple of things. And I'll kind of cross a little bit with that in this stream. But basically, we have three things that we're talking about in this particular stream. And I want to discuss really just a plan for this Tiger team. We are going to play opening day as well, but we're going to start with really just kind of the league management here, because I know a lot of people are starting their franchises right now. And I just want to kind of go through it and discuss it. Again, some things I discussed in the previous video that was just really short. It was like 15 minutes long. And but basically, what I do is I start a 30 team control franchise, right? When you set that up, the most important things that you want to do is making sure you have two profiles, right? So I have MLB, which is like my user one, and I have CPU for the AI teams. And when you create a franchise, you want to make sure that you have these setting files, the association set up properly, that they're associated with the particular team. I'm the only user team here, so I'm Detroit. The other ones are CPU. And within that, so now I'm in the MLB specific one here, you can see everything's on manual. If I click over to the CPU, everything's on auto. And then that's the gist of how you want to use 30 team control. That's the simplest way I can explain it. Of course, this is also where you'll import, or I should say you'll adjust manually the other settings that unfortunately cannot be included with an actual slider set. But all that information is on operationsports.com in their slider forum for MLB The Show. So take a look there. You'll have everything that you possibly need. I tried to list it all right in order. And again, this version 1.0, it is up in the vault right now. When I checked earlier today, the highest rated slider set in the world right now, and well on its way to being the most downloaded too. It was just uploaded yesterday, so it's got a little catching up to do. But and even the beta slider set we put out about a week ago, a little over a week now, is actually the second highest rated in the world. So you guys, thank you so much. Again, all your feedback tremendously. It helps me tremendously in adjusting these, because I don't want to just build a slider set just for me and then kind of force people to play the way I play. I try to find one that works for a good number of people who are looking for a very realistic experience, and that's what I'm hoping to kind of show there. So again, I mentioned earlier in the video previously, when you load in your sliders, whenever you start a franchise, and I don't know why, but these two will often reset to 5. So just double check these. Make sure we have in version 1.1 injuries at 6. Trade frequency for April, I recommend 1, if not even 0. Save frequently. There's a lot of really weird trades as the AI is trying to balance things out. I did do a test with this at 0. Before, they would still trade. When I did my test, maybe this is Ryden's roster, it helped with this. But when I had it at 0, I wasn't seeing those crazy trades. So just a little grain of salt there. So again, a single test. When I say testing, I did one quick sim just to see it. What else can I tell you that's going on here? I did, before I even played this game, one of the first things that I do and if you follow my streams before, you know I do this, is I go in and I simulate all the games one by one ahead of time, except for my game. The reason we do that is this game, especially on default, and even with my sliders combat about 95% of the problem. But you're going to start to see way too many complete games. Now, what I do is when I simulate these games, I just double check the American League and National League to make sure we're not getting too many complete games. You really don't want to be crossing over that 50 complete game mark or so uh, in the entire season. So that's less than 10 per month. There's about 6 months in the baseball season. So again, you're looking at maybe one or two a week tops. And the reason I simulate the games like that is if you go in there and you see, oh my gosh, there was 4 new complete games, that's probably too many. You might want to reload that, save, and just manually resim those daily games. That's just one way that you can help combat that. And by the end of the season, it's an extra step. It only takes about 30 seconds, but it's going to ensure you that you do not have too many league leaders, or I should say too many complete games when you go into that league leader screen. One of the other things I mentioned on the previous stream too, when you set up your new franchise, you can see here we have Justin Verlander with a fictional face, we have Willie Calhoun with a fictional face. The way you can get those, this is not tied to any one roster set, is just by starting a fantasy draft. If you start a fantasy draft and you back out and don't make a single pick, it'll keep the rosters intact, and you can get these kind of what I actually like. I like these little fictional renditions of the players because it makes the fictional players blend in a lot smoother. So I think it's kind of a cool thing. If you do have questions, I will be getting to those in just a moment before we start playing, but I'm just kind of going through just a couple things I wanted to share here about just league management. And then I'll get into those questions, and we'll get into my plan for the Tigers, and we'll get into opening day. So a lot of stuff going on here in this very first stream. If you haven't subscribed to the SSG YouTube channel, please do that. You can follow me on Twitter, Mike Lowe 47. And that's usually where the information will be going out. Again, the sliders themselves are up on Operation Sports, so check that out. So let's see, anything else on this screen? I don't think so. I think we're good on options. I do want to get into sounds of the show, by the way, this year. So if anyone has, I think OS even has a forum kind of dedicated to this. I have to look around, but I wanted to load some of these in. My Tigers start on the road this year, so I wasn't too worried about it for this stream. But if you have any suggestions or ways to go about loading that in, I've never used this before, so I'm curious to give it a shot. It'd be kind of a cool thing to try there. Just kind of again clicking through. One thing I started doing, so I mentioned I have the injuries at 6, and I start in spring training and I simulate spring training to try and get some injuries. We have one really big injury in this franchise that hopefully you'll be watching throughout. There's been a few others. Again, we got a couple months here for Franco, Mikael Franco, and we have some other ones, but there was a really, really big one in the National League, like big and scary injury. It is with the Milwaukee Brewers and Christian Yelich, who has torn his ACL and is out for 6 months. He's going to miss the entire season, folks. There are those ratings that are over 100. I had a couple questions come in about that. I'm going to cough 1 second. Oh, that was a non-coronavirus related cough. But this is not tied to any one particular roster. I believe Ryan either told me or I read it somewhere that he was discussing that they did not edit these above 100. This is just how it appears. And my guess is that if it's looking different in like Play Now or just in the roster control section outside of franchise, I'm thinking that these ratings are just sort of hidden. And my bet, and I have no insider information on this at all, I would be willing to bet that those over 100 ratings have always been there because they've been at Diamond Dynasty before. I bet you they were just capped visually at 99 in previous years because that would mean the game has basically 2 rating systems, one for Diamond Dynasty, one for franchise, and so on. And I highly doubt that they completely revitalized that mode. For this year, I'm guessing that they just removed the visual cap. And again, that's a complete guess, just thinking about how this would have been programmed and things like that. So, but nonetheless, they're there. I don't really think it's a big deal because to me, you want to be looking at your stats a little bit more than your attributes. Don't focus too much on attributes. And if you've ever kind of had that sneaking feeling, like, this player plays a lot better than he seems, or he plays a lot worse, I think that's one of the reasons. I don't know if these are always necessarily completely accurate, and I would say they probably, I guess, are accurate. But again, if you had a visual cap on last year's game, for instance, you might not have been seeing those exactly as they are. So, but Christian Yelich got hurt. One of the things that I did as kind of a league management, I was like, ooh, it'd be really cool is that what if I went and signed them, the top free agent, Yasiel Puig? He could fill in at right field. And I was like, yeah, they would do that, right? They would kind of sign him on maybe a one or an option deal or something like that. And but one of the things I did is I went and looked at the Brewers, and when I looked, obviously they have a big hole in right field now. I mean, Ben Gamel is nothing to write home about here. Uh, and again, just he's not bad, right? But just kind of a 710 OPS last year, 728. I mean, it's just a guy you could kind of plug in on off days. So I'm probably not a guy you want playing 150 something games. But they already have three other pretty good outfielders. They have Avisail Garcia, they have Ryan Braun, and they have Lorenzo Cain. And so again, Garcia can play in right field if need be, and they can keep Braun on left. And with them being a National League team, I said, well, they probably wouldn't actually go sign him just yet. But one of the things I want to try and do different this year is I want to sign free agents when injuries and things like that happen, or maybe if there's a trade. I'm going to let those free agents kind of sit for a little while. But as rosters start to kind of change as my own franchise goes along, I'm not going to try to line it up with real life or anything like that, because that, to me personally, is just a little bit silly when the ratings or the standings are all different. But I will try and sign some of these free agents to different teams. So again, just something to take a look at there. I have updated my trade block, even though typically I wait for the AI. They'll usually do this after just a couple games into the season. But you can see there, I'm really just looking to move just some older bad contracts. I have no idea why Ivan Nova was signed by the Tigers. At least in this game, he's pretty awful in this game. I love Miguel Cabrera, but his time, I mean, if we can move him for anything to clear out that 31 million, that's going to be a good thing. And I'll talk more about this kind of in our Tiger preview. But Jordy Mercer, another guy, I have no idea why they brought him back for that kind of money. And Jordan Zimmerman was a terrible signing by Al Avila. So again, those are just little things that we're looking to do here. The good news about the Tigers, and I'll get into this more, is that they are going to have a lot of money coming off the table next year. There aren't many contracts at all that will be left. This will be a very, very different team if I want it to be next year. So that'll be exciting. When you set up your scouting, don't forget to do that. At the start of a franchise, you want to either send out your scouts to start looking for a new talent that maybe isn't showing up here in this pool just yet, or if you know there's some players you want them to take a look at, go ahead and do that. My one suggestion for scouting in general is look at this MLB estimated time of arrival, right? These 2024 plus, that's a long time. That's 4 to 5 years. You're really wanting to try and find more players that are kind of like this without the pluses, where they could be on the team in a year, 2 or 3. Those are going to be the much more impactful players. Those are players that are going to, be making your team when they're, 22 years old, things like that, 21 years old. Those are going to be some really prolific players potentially. So let's see. Other things here I mentioned. I like to load in sponsorships for each team just to give them a little bit more money. I just pick 3 gold ones, whatever's cheap in the marketplace, and that they're a little bit different. So hits, runs, home runs, that looks fine to me. The bummer with this is you do have to load it for each team. So if I hit R2, go over to the Royals, I had to load those in for the Royals, and so on. It takes a couple minutes to do that, but then that's it. You don't have to do it the one time. That will just give the teams a little bit extra money come free agency at the end of your season, just in case there's some kind of gimmicky thing with the game where maybe the contracts aren't lining up and teams don't have any money to spend. I figured that can't hurt to have a little bit extra money as opposed to falling short. Training, the little tidbit I'll give you here, you can adjust these however you want. When you do sign a free agent, whether it's your team or an AI team, they will default this year for some reason to not training. So you want to go in and change those to whatever you want. I'm just going with auto for now. Every once in a while, I'll go in and say, hey, wait a second, I need to adjust this person for this particular reason. But for now, there's nothing that I see that I'm necessarily worried about. Morale's the same as before. And the roster itself, I'll wait into that in a second when we do the team overview, but I think that pretty much is it though for the just kind of the league management. Again, starting a franchise, I really encourage you to take your time. Don't rush it, even if that's picking a team, because restarting is really what can slow you down and you start to lose that momentum. So again, I always just try to say, take your time, set it up, don't feel rushed, and then just try to find a good, consistent schedule for yourself, so that you know how you want to try to get through this season because it's long, 162 games. You're all excited opening day, and then it's long. I've done it twice. I've played a 162 game season 2 times. I've never carried it over, unfortunately, and I'm really hoping to change that this year, which is one of the reasons why I picked my hometown Tigers, even though I didn't feel they were maybe the most ideal fit, and they're certainly not a very good team. I just think in the long run, I'll appreciate having picked them. So I'm checking the chat really quick. Hey, Adrian, what's up? Yeah, I appreciate you using the sliders. That's awesome. I don't ever play through spring training. I used to use it as like my little testing ground, but I couldn't stand how like they take out the pitchers early, and it was really hard to kind of gauge certain sliders. So I just do all my testing and play now. Sometimes I've started like a dummy franchise and I'll test it then, but this year I didn't because I wanted kind of the surprises of franchise. I wanted those to be a little bit more enjoyable in the beginning. So just did all that testing that way. Let's see, my phone's freaking out here. I'm trying to check other comments. Let's see. Yeah, Adrian, I recognize you on Twitter there. Thanks, Zach. Yeah, the Twins are always a fun team. They have awesome uniforms. They have really, really awesome, an awesome stadium. Are they too good? I would no. I think they'd be a fun team to take simply because they are one of those teams that are going to be right in the mix for the division. I mean, Cleveland's going to be good. Probably the favorites. But Minnesota's right there. Royals are bad. Tigers are bad. And the White Sox, too. I mean, so to me, taking any of those 3 teams in that division could be really fun. Cleveland being kind of the heavy favorite. They have a really nice roster. But yeah, I think that could definitely be a really cool thing. Um, yeah, and Adrian, like, there you go. So having injuries at 6, he's saying Dozier and Tatis are both out for extended time. What's up, Connor? I appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, yeah. So again, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. That should ping you. You can follow me on Twitter, Mike Lowe 47. So this Tiger team, right? I had a hard time picking a team this year because I kind of narrowed it down to the Tigers, the Padres, and the Cubs. I was looking at the Padres and Cubs because they have new managers. I thought that'd be kind of a fun thing to take where they both have kind of respected management where I didn't really want to go the whole like scenario. I always try to think of like a realistic scenario for myself. And I was like, well, as much as if the Padres fail this year, AJ Preller probably will get fired or let go. But I kind of took the other route and said, well, what if you were to get like a promotion where maybe he kind of steps out of that GM role, similar to what Billy Beane did a few years ago, similar to what Theo Epstein has now done, where they're more of like a team president kind of role. And then they bring in a different general manager. And so it's like, well, that'd be kind of fun. And I was looking at the Padres for that reason and kind of a scenario like that. And even the Cubs, even though they have Jed Hoyer as their general manager, but the Cubs realistically, I could see both of those guys being promoted, Epstein and Hoyer, and then kind of opening up that sort of thing. And again, I thought the Cubs would be an interesting mix, similar to how I talked about the Twins, where they're in a division that's going to be competitive. You have a Reds team that's much, much improved, looking really good. You have a Cardinals team that's always tough. The Brewers, if healthy, not my franchise, can still surprise. And so just thought that would be a fun little thing there. The Padres, of course, would have been a really tough trying to catch up with the Dodgers. The Dodgers, by the way, are the only team in baseball who actually don't have a general manager. I would have wanted to take that team, but they're just so good. I mean, they're just loaded, and they have a deep minor league system, and it just didn't seem a huge challenge. And not that I necessarily wanted a rebuild here at the Tigers, but I know a lot of people would find that interesting, and we can talk about a lot of different things about really the proper ways of doing a rebuild, because everyone seems to like them, but to really pull it off the right way takes a lot of patience, takes a lot of foresight. So this Tigers team overall is pretty bad. If you just look at our roster, just kind of top to bottom, the highest rated player is a 29-year-old pitcher, Matthew Boyd, who was part of the David Price deal a number of years ago. Really, the last thing Dave Dombrowski did with this team is he made that trade, and pretty much the next day got fired, which was kind of a prearranged thing. It was kind of he knew he was going out and just did that as a solid for the Tigers there. Of course, later linked up with David Price later on in Boston. But I do like the signings of Al Avila, the Tigers' real general manager, of bringing in CJ Crone, and Jonathan Schoop. I think these are nice. They're on short contracts. I believe they're just 1 year. Yeah, so 1 year contracts. And again, these are guys that maybe you keep them around, maybe you re-sign them, or you could try to move these guys, but it gives us a little bit more power. That's something the Tigers just did not have. They lost something like 114 games last year. And so it's going to be nice to have them. Miguel Cabrera, of course, nowhere near the player he is, but still a very serviceable player. I mean, look at the contact versus lefties. That's legitimate there, 95. And if you look at his numbers from last year, his power numbers are down for sure. But he's still producing a decent on base percentage. He was hurt part of last year. He's been hurt part of the last 3 seasons. So again, one of the reasons why we're going to primarily be using him at DH to try and keep that durability to be a non-factor, so that he can stay in the game as long as possible, and stay in the season as long as possible. So Nico Goodrum, they have like a lot of nice players, right? But just a lot of these like nice players are being forced into starting roles. So they're definitely a better team than last year, but it's going to be tricky. Nico Goodrum, I like. He's probably a little overrated defensively in this game, but I'll take it, especially with him being at a shortstop, a position the Tigers just haven't really been able to lock down since Iglesias left. So that'll be nice. Um, and again, after there, it starts to really, really thin out. Um, Interesting player here, Xiao Xing Shang. I think it's how I looked it up last night, and I forget how you say his name. But this is he is not a direct import in regards to. It's not like he just came over from Taiwan this year. He has been in the minor leagues for a number of years. You don't see it in the stats here, but he's been floating around the minor leagues since he was like 19 or 20. Like he was very young. But he's going to be in the rotation for us, so we are going to be seeing him make his debut. I believe the third game of the season. He's going to be our number 3 pitcher here. So he's a whopping 73 overall, but he's got decent stamina. He can get in there and eat up some innings, and it'll be exciting to see. He's making a whopping $80,000 a year right now, which is he's not very happy about. But I don't like to sign extensions because, as far as I know, the AI teams don't do that, and I just don't want to have that advantage. So he will be upset all year, making less than some people who just probably work at the stadium make. So, but he'll have to live with it. He's in the majors, darn it. It's his dream. Some other interesting players, Michael Fulmer, right? You probably remember him, former Rookie of the Year. He got hurt last year. So you can see he played about a little more than half of a. I'm sorry, he didn't play at all last year, but was on limited innings really his first 3 years. This is the year he won Rookie of the Year. Did not play at all in 19, so he's bouncing back here. His durability just a 71, so we'll have to see if he can make it through. But again, he was a really, really strong pitcher when the Tigers acquired him from the Mets, and so it's a yeah, it should be. I mean, hoping it's a bounce back again. Really nice stamina, good velocity, nice break on his pitches. So we'll see we'll see if he can play above those ratings because his ratings have not been very fair. By the way, if you're looking to collect Diamond Dynasty cards, right? He's not a bad guy to take a waiver on. Maybe buy up a bunch of Michael Fulmer cards because this guy was a top prospect. He was really the Mets' #1 prospect when the Tigers made the trade. I'm trying to remember who they even traded. Was it Cespedes? No, because we traded Cespedes to Boston for I don't remember now. Anyway, but Fulmer could be definitely a bounce back candidate. Some young players in the mix, but again, nothing overpowering, which is one of the reasons why I like the Tigers. That they don't have like the overpowering, sexy prospects. Travis Demitra, I should say. He came over from the Braves, I believe in the Shane Green deal, when the Tigers traded their closer Shane Green. Just a nice player, deep potential, but he's already 25. But again, we can start getting some of those ratings to pop up into the 60s. He can play good defense, so he could be a really nice fit for us. He doesn't have any quirks or anything. His stats from last year, again, a little underwhelming, but we'll see if Travis can start to turn it around. Cameron Maybin making, I believe, his 3rd stint with the Tigers. He was originally a top Tigers prospect, but they moved in the Miguel Cabrera trade, actually. Re-signed a number of years later, and then now has re-signed for the 3rd time with the Tigers. So interesting little thing there. And again, we do have some top prospects in Tarek Skubal, a potential 23-year-old pitcher. Casey Mize, the former #1 overall pick in the draft, and we have the #1 pick in the draft this year, or at least we should. So that'll be a fun thing to talk about on this stream. We have guys like Jordan Zimmerman, who I'm going to put in the rotation because, darn it, I want you to earn this $22 million and see if we can do something with this guy. He's our fifth starter, hoping he can at least eat up some innings. But God, he's bad. Um, he didn't actually pitch as horrendous as a 6.91 ERA says last year. You can see his fielding independent ERA was, I mean, it's still pretty bad. Home runs per nine, pretty bad, 1.5. But his K to walk ratio isn't terrible, so did produce one WAR somehow. So again, just it's going to be an interesting year for sure. I did sign two players. I signed two relief pitchers because our bullpen was really bad, and I allowed myself to sign a couple guys. I was looking for. You'll see some of these free agents like they haven't pitched in like 3 years. I thought that was a little bit unrealistic to have them suddenly reappear into a franchise. So I tried to make sure there were guys that either pitched last year or at least pitched in the minors last year or something like that. But Xavier Cedeno is the guy we picked up. We needed another lefty. I'm using Daniel Norris out of the bullpen, and so he's one of our lefties. And we brought in Cedeno here as a second lefty, and did not pitch much last year, but pitched pretty well in the previous year. He spent time in Tampa, he spent time in Washington, and he spent time in Houston. So he's a guy that we're hoping can come in and pitch for us with these new bullpen rules, right? Players can have to either pitch to three batters or complete an inning before they can be taken out. So that will make for some interesting scenarios. It'll make for some interesting discussion as we play through this. So he's got a nice knuckle breaking ball there. His curveball is his primary pitch. So Xavier Cedeno, you can see him holding that curveball there in this picture there. He's a guy that we're going to look to use. And I mentioned earlier that Joe Jimenez, I did not want to be in that closing role after looking at his career numbers here in the very bottom. 12 saves, 10 blown saves. That's pretty bad. I mean, you want your closer to at least be closing out 80% of those appearances. He's barely over 50, so he has been demoted. I still like Joe Jimenez a lot. I just don't want him closing out games. And so we signed Arodys Vizcaino and pitched really well before getting hurt. Oh, I should say he only pitched 4 innings last year, but the previous years pitched really, really well. Has some experience as a closer. It was one of the kind of the deciding factors here. His expectation. We promised him the closer role if he came on. He accepted basically a 2-year deal. Does it say it was an option? Yeah, it does say. So contract option. It's both. That second year is an option where we both have to agree, and we'll see. If he pitches well, we'll keep him around. We might trade him. We might just let him walk. So a completely risk-free signing here of Arodys Vizcaino. And he will start off the season as our closer, which hopefully should give us at least somewhat of a back end of the bullpen here. These three guys. Buck Farmer actually pitched okay last year. He's only 67. Alex Wilson back with the Tigers after leaving. Again, not great, but his morale has him up to a 71. He's just kind of a guy who can come in and give us some innings. Daniel Norris, I mentioned, actually started a lot. He's mostly been a starter for the Tigers over the years, and most of last year. But with his 67 stamina, we'll see. He might be a guy who ends up getting in the rotation over Zimmerman. But with us being so short on lefties, I am going to put him in the bullpen for now. Zach Godley has pitched in the majors before. Again, he's a guy who has been primarily used as a starter in the past up until last year. But with his stamina starting to fade, he's a guy that we have decided to put in the bullpen. So we have some options, right? Just nothing really dominant by any means. It's going to be definitely take some focus here when we're pitching. Ivan Nova, again, he can eat some innings. He's rated really, really poorly. I mean, he's been pitched the last few years. He's been okay. He's been serviceable, but his ratings are horrendous. So again, we'll keep an eye. Maybe he's a guy that's going to outperform his ratings there, but he's really, again, just there because for some reason we're giving him money and want him to earn his keep a little bit here. So again, that's the overview of the Tigers. You know, the two big prospects, Casey Mize, Tarek Skubal. I do have them in AAA. This will eventually adjust here. I moved a ton of guys around, so I think before these guys play, this will all get reslotted and they'll get into a starting role. We also have Matt Manning. So again, there's definitely some starting pitching in this organization that should be coming up, and that should be nice to see here. sooner rather than later, hopefully. Probably maybe sometime this year for a couple of them, potentially. So um, talked about organizing. When I get to opening day, I usually go through and I just try to organize my AAA rosters. And basically, what I'm doing is just I'll take like the three outfield positions and I'll just make sure there's good balance between AAA and AA, and then whatever's left over in A. I usually keep teenagers in A. I keep dudes who are rated terribly, who are like 33 years old, in A because I don't want them taking up a spot. But sometimes they're there as just like an emergency filler. Same thing at the infield. I try to make sure I have enough middle infielders on both rosters. I try to make sure I have enough corner outfielders, enough catchers, a closing pitcher for each, which Ryden's roster did a great job of as I click through the team. You can see, and I'll go through and even edit these if I see teams that are like missing a closer. I'll go through and fix those, and I did that here. I actually changed out who the Tigers are using as closers to give guys with a little bit more potential an opportunity to close games. Same thing with relief pitchers and starters, just making sure there's a good balance between the AAA, AA, and then really whatever's left over, either teenagers or just scrubs in A. So that's a look at the Tigers. I didn't really show you the lineup. Let's take a quick look at that. We're going to be starting leading off here, Victor Reyes. He is a switch-hitting 25-year-old. He was a former Rule 5 draft pick, I believe, from the Arizona Diamondbacks, I think. But a former Rule 5 pick. Doesn't have great discipline for a leadoff hitter. He's got nice speed and can definitely hit the ball. And is also a really good bunter. Even has the bunt quirk. So we're going to give him the opportunity and hope he can at least try to draw some walks again on base. I really want a guy with like 350 on base percentage in the leadoff spot at least. He doesn't have that, but look at this jump he made. 23-year-old season to his 24-year-old season. It's over 100-point jump in on base percentage. So we're kind of banking on that, hoping that he can make that leap and start to improve and get on base a little bit more. 140 walks and 276 at bats. Again, that we'd like that to be closer to a 10% ratio. I don't know if this game has walk percentage. It does it? Yeah, walk percentage. So 4.8. Again, ideally lead off. I'm looking for someone around 10% at least. So I'm hoping I can improve that. But he's a good defender. We're actually going to be playing him in center field, Victor Reyes. So he'll be leading off. Nico Goodrum, I mentioned, really nice utility player. He's going to be starting at shortstop. Interesting mix of ratings. Another switch hitters. We have two switch hitters at the top. Again, it's just going to be hoping he runs into a few balls and hit him over the fence here. He does have some good discipline, so another guy who could get on base in front of Miguel Cabrera. Goodrum's also got some decent speed. So again, we're hoping if Cabrera could hit a gap here, one of these guys are on base. The idea is that one of these guys could score on a double because his home runs could be limited. He has not hit over 20 home runs since 2016. Isn't that crazy to think about? He has not hit, and really going back to 15, he's only done it once. That's, I mean, crazy, right? Really, really, really crazy. So, really hoping Miguel can turn it around. This contract is going to be an albatross of a contract here, so we'll see. I do love Miguel Cabrera. I mean, I named my dog after him. He's been one of my favorite Tigers ever. So it's going to be kind of fun to play with him and either finish out his career or really change the complete look of the franchise here if we end up moving him. Jonathan Scope, a really nice signing here. Gives us a little bit of some oomph. These guys hit 20, 30 home runs the last few years, so that'll be nice. CJ Cron, very, very similar. Good power numbers. 25 and 30 home runs the last couple of years. He's bounced around after primarily playing with the Angels before that. Cameron Maidman, I mentioned, back with the Tigers yet again. He will play in right field for us. Doesn't have a great arm, but can definitely cover some ground in our right field. There's that triples alley. Wanted to make sure we have some good speed at center and in right. I am using auto fielding. At least I might dabble and go back and forth, but the game we'll be playing here shortly is going to be manual. Auto fielding. So I also like to put my best base stealer sixth. I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, you put him in the leadoff spot. I don't want to risk the out. I don't want anybody stealing in front of, grain of salt when I say this, my best hitters, right? Cabrera, Scope, and Cron, however you say it. So I like speed. I don't mind having speed in front of these guys, but these guys won't be stealing. I want them to stay on base. I want them to try and score on doubles. So I put my best base stealer here. Reason being is these are going to be your worst hitters.
At best, you're just hoping they can maybe knock in a single. And if we can get him on second base on a steal, now suddenly these guys can drive in runs. And runs, of course, is how you win baseball games. So that's the idea here. Candelario, a real big prospect the Tigers got from the Cubs a couple of years ago as part of that Alex Avila trade. Just has not panned out. Still has great discipline, though, and is still a pretty darn good fielder at third base. But again, just hasn't really been able to turn it on. The year he came over from the Cubs was his really last big productive year. You can see why the Tigers liked him with that nearly 360 on base as a switch hitting third baseman. Really high hopes. So he's another guy. If you're looking to buy Tiger cards on the cheap, another guy you could take a waiver on Candelario. I really, really hope he can turn it around. Austin Romine, brought over from the Yankees. Catcher, he'll be splitting time with Jake Rogers for us. I have Rogers just playing against lefties for now. And Travis Demerit, I think is how you say it, Travis Demerit. That's it. Um, he's a guy I really think can start to, I think that B potential and him being 25, we could start to see those numbers creep up, and that'll be exciting to see. So he did hit 3 home runs, 170 at bats. So he's got a little pop. On the bench, Jordy Mercer, just kind of a career backup infielder, can pinch hit. He's terrible defensively, but he'll be there in case if we do need him. Jake Rogers, I mentioned, B potential 24. I definitely want to make sure he gets enough at bats to make sure he progresses. He'll be almost a 1-to-1 split probably with Austin Romine. Harold Castro, 26-year-old, primarily up here to pinch hit, another utility guy, so it never hurts to have our one lefty bat on the bench. Jacoby Jones, again, a guy who has just not really lived up to the hype. A guy the Tigers got from Pittsburgh a number of years ago in a trade when he was one of Pittsburgh's top prospects, but can still play good center field. I definitely want to make sure we have enough speed in the outfield. Can also pinch a run for us. It can even play a little third base if need be. So uh, that's the roster. That is the team. So we went over team management. We've gone over the Tigers. I'm going to check the comments and questions really quick. But then otherwise, we are going to be jumping in to a game. Let's see. Boy, there's a bunch of comments. Yeah, I see you guys talking about bad contracts. Yeah, it's fun though. I mean, it adds to the challenge, in my opinion. Like, I almost took the Angels. I was really close to taking the Angels because I wanted to just kind of demo how to use Shohei Ohtani, and I wanted to. And they have some just unbelievable contracts. Even Rendon's contract is terrible. He's making like 46 million the last year of it. So I thought that'd be a fun one, but again, decided to go with the Tigers here. Um, yeah, Patrick, I definitely think it'll help with contracts. I like the real life contracts too, but at this point, I've never noticed a difference whether you use real or not. The game seems to adjust fairly well. Yeah, good question, Adrian, about the long relief pitcher. I'll go over that here in a second. Ryan's roster has Tulowitzki as a 25-year-old. He's a free agent. But again, I believe you can just edit that. What would be a good season for Miggy this year? I mean, just staying healthy. TJ, that's a good question. That's our primary goal for him. I don't know. I'd be curious to see. Can he hit 20 home runs again as a DH, or if he's playing 155 games? Maybe. He'll definitely hit over 240, Carlos. I don't think there'll be a problem there. Um, but yeah, boys, he's definitely getting paid more than he's been producing. Yeah, that's a good question. So Adrian was asking about the long relief spot. It's a little tricky this year, and one of the reasons why we used to do this is these pitchers would always get used more, right? These long relievers, they get used more in um, AI games, right? The simulated games. These guys would always get more innings, and I thought that was going to be the case because I was going to tell people, hey, once again, let's move these down. But so far, I'm not noticing it being a huge issue. The other thing is now teams are carrying 13 pitchers, right? The rosters have been expanded to 26. So a lot of teams don't have these open spots where we used to be able to move them down rather easily. Like, not even I have one, right? So I mean, I literally couldn't put Ivan Nova anywhere unless I went with 12 pitchers. And so the game really needs to kind of give us maybe an extra middle relief spot. But here's what's cool, right? I've already simulated the first games of opening day. And one of the first things I went to go do is I went to go look at innings pitched to see. And of course, we can ignore. Did I miss it? Um, we can ignore starting pitchers because, of course, these guys are going to lead after one day um, of uh, innings pitched. Obviously, they started the game. But if I go down and look at relief pitching, we have Heath Hembry, who pitched 3 innings, Anthony Bass, who pitched 1.2, and Brett Martin, who pitched 1.2. Everyone else is 1.1 or below. And I can tell you right now, I already went and looked at these. All three of these guys, none of them, Hembry, Bass, or Martin, are in the long relief role. They're in the regular slot. So we're not seeing that issue, at least not yet. But this is where you'd want to come in and just check it. If you start seeing a relief pitcher creeping up too high, especially if they're, say, like a relief pitcher who only has stamina of 24, then that's probably a problem. Sometimes these guys even get locked into the starting role. I haven't checked if that's an issue in this year's game, but it used to be that way in the past, and it sucked. So again, sometimes you just need to go through maybe once every few days, once a week, go through and just look at a team's starting rotation. All I usually do with that is really easy. Is you can just do this, and you're looking at that stamina. See in that where it says stamina 80 up in the orange, like right above, like the very bottom of the rating circle there. If you just go through like that, each team, you can really quickly just go through, and you're looking. If suddenly you see like someone is a 24, then like, oh, wait a second, like here's even the 60, 65, right? That's pretty low. But again, not terrible. Some guys will start with that low stamina. So, but anyway, you get the idea. You can go through and do those yourself there. So, but yeah, good question. I'm not sweating it just yet, but it's definitely something I'll keep an eye on. And it kind of parlays into something I always say about the slider set is like you don't need to restart. If you end up changing things, or I mean, you're going to get better at this game as you go. These sliders will change as we go through the season, and some of you are going to have different slider sets than others. That's okay. That's the whole point of this is that you're measuring yourself, and I put a lot of those measurables right in the top of that very first post on the Operation Sports thread, just so that it can help you kind of gauge where you should be. And again, it doesn't have to be every game, but we're talking over the course that you've played 16 games. That's 10% of the season or so. You start measuring things, and if you're starting to see bad patterns after, say, 8 or 16 games, 5 or 10% of the season, then you can start looking at making some changes potentially. So again, there's a lot of variables that can go into that sort of thing. So, okay. Gonna check comments one more time. Questions and whatnot will be a little harder to answer as the game starts, but I'll try and check in between innings. Um, yeah, I mean, Adrian, I think you're going to have to allow one long reliever in there. I personally don't handle trades with 30 team control, Carlos. I just let them do it. I don't try. I just personally, again, don't take offense to anybody. I find it silly to try and mirror real life because what if my Tigers are a 95 win team? Am I going to be selling off pieces like the real life Tigers would be at the deadline? No, I'll be probably acquiring pieces to try and make a playoff push. So to me, following as soon as I start this franchise, it's done. I'm no longer concerned with real life. This is my own little franchise here that I'll be playing through. So, all right, I think we're ready. Opening day. So here's where it's saying I don't have the valid lineups. Let me just, so it doesn't mess anything up. This is probably just my DH ones. These won't matter. The no DH if you're an American League team. So, by the way, a player will get their morale, right, where it says team role. That only, or it says he's an everyday player. That only comes from the two lineups for your league, right? So in this case, the with DH versus left, the with DH versus right. You can do whatever you want on these other ones if you're an American League team, and vice versa if you're a National League team. So, but that's where that information comes from, and it'll change immediately as soon as you set that up. All right, playing a full game. Just going slow because literally the first franchise game I've played. I've been doing all play now up until now. one of the reasons why I took the Tigers. Love their uniforms. I don't like a bunch of alternate uniforms. I love that the Tigers just basically have road and home. I mean, that's it. I love it. Pretty awesome. So, of course, we'll be wearing the roads. Playing at Progressive Field. So, a day game, right? It's opening day. We have some rain today. That's be interesting. So, what I'm checking is looking for quirks. So, this will be good for Matthew Boyd, as he's going to be starting for us. He's a day player. He's a pickoff artist. That's going to work out really well. Let's just check our quirks for our pitching staff here. So Buck Farmer, stopper. Alex Wilson's another guy we could maybe look to. Another pickoff artist. So both of our lefties, pickoff artists. So again, Zach Godley, maybe that's a guy I don't need to worry about too much this series. We saw the knee buckler. This guy, has none. So again, I'll probably look to maybe overly utilize if we're behind Buck Farmer, Alex Wilson. If we're losing, if we're Alex Wilson just for this series, maybe a little bit more than I would Zach Godley, who's a homebody. But again, Zach Godley is rated better, so just little things to think about. But of course, we're starting Boyd. We're going up against Shane Bieber, who is really nice player for Cleveland. Looking at quirks again, Buntmaster, nothing. Miguel is a hitting machine and a homebody. I guess I can cycle through with R2 now, that's right. So, Road Warrior. So, Scope could have a really nice series here. Good breaking ball hitter. Keep that in mind. So look at this. Our 4 and 5 hitters could be really nice road players for us. Candelario is a home player. Austin Romine, another Road Warrior. First pitch. So that'll be good. Take a quick look at the bench, and then we'll get started. Jordy Mercer, nothing. Jake Rogers, a good arm. Harold Castro, definitely look to utilize him as a pinch hitter today. Jacoby Jones, maybe not so much. All right, it is time. Oh, Carlos, I see. So your question now is, yeah, I mean, how do I mean, I'm going to save very, very often and probably try to reload. The weird thing is, though, is the game, like, preloads trades. You may have noticed that before, but it'll preload it a little bit. So, I don't know. I have commentary off, by the way, so I can actually talk today. But I would probably say, I don't know, you could put it at 0. You could put the slider at 0. It worked for me when I tried it. So again, if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do. That will notify you. I'm playing the stream on Wednesdays and Sundays. Today's just kind of a special opening day stream. About 7 p.m. Eastern or so. I'm getting the streams up. So you're seeing the MLB Network presentation here. Kind of carry it off, just so we don't have to battle talking over each other. They would never start opening day when it's raining. But I think we will today. They'll play in the rain. They just don't like to start games in the rain. Same presentation. Let's get past this here. Not much has changed. There's Shane Bieber, really nice year last year for Cleveland. 259 strikeouts. 214 innings. 15 wins.
Well, what's the first thing you do with the slider set when the game starts? You pause it, right? You go to options. You go to sliders. Very, very important, especially in road games, so you don't forget. Put those down. I'm just double checking, as I mentioned, make sure injury frequency and trade frequency. I'll put that down to 0. Just for now, just in case.
For Detroit,
just checking pitching repertoire here. So fastball, slider, a couple fastballs, a slider, a couple breaking pitches. I haven't seen his quirks yet. I would like to look at their pitcher. Oh boy, he's gonna be good. It'll be tough to beat. Got to take good swings, good at bats. I'm just looking over the middle for the first few strikes here. Just looking for a mistake pitch. Just kind of a general rule. If I see a mistake, I'll take a swing at it. Yeah, that's a good start. So there's our speed we talked about, right? Getting speed on the base paths, but won't be looking to steal. And hey, that's going to help that on base percentage I talked about with Reyes. I don't care if you get hit by pitch. I just want you to get that on base percentage up. Just look at Goodman's numbers from last year.
Ball one. Count 1-0.
Let's see where the PCI was on that swing. Just above it. And I swung too early.
I got 2-1 to count.
Really slow slider.
Nope, upstairs.
I don't know if the weather impacts these guys or not, but he has been a little bit wild. Got to be right over the plate if I'm going to swing at it. Oh boy. That's not good. Could be a microcosm of a Tiger season. Okay, a good pitch to hit. Put into the other play. And now nobody's on base. There you go.
Nope, ball one. Hey!
Default sliders, that's probably a line out to the center fielder.
The second baseman, Jonathan.
Just got the bat on it. It's got high enough contact that he can still just kind of muscle that into the outfield. Ooh, I tried to check this.
0-1.
Thanks for the information. He has a 0 average, 0 hits. This is his first at bat.
That's out.
So just that one single now. I guess we had 2 guys on base, but starting to get up to that 15 pitches per inning range we want to get to.
Nope, outside.
And we gotta be patient on those sliders. You have time with a slider, right? So you can watch him for a little bit, especially one that slow. He has not thrown a slider for very many strikes. Oh goodness,
I got to count 2 and 2.
that one came in a lot quicker. 87. I thought that was the home run. See, I thought you can look at the PCI. I knew that I saw the slider. I thought it was gonna be down more. I thought it'd be slower and put down. Ooh, good pitch. Well, I knew he was nasty. Had him on the rope a little bit there, but can't do anything with it. Ah, I missed that slider. The previous pitch was the pitch to hit.
Leading off for the Indians, the second baseman, Jason. Hernandez.
One zero.
Their fastball in a row.
Oh, that's off the plate. Ball two.
Gotta start hitting the spots.
I got 3-1. 3 balls, 1 strike.
Doesn't have much power. Oh, terrible. Escaping that timing down with him. So, both pitchers a little while here to start.
Second. The center fielder. Oscar.
Zach, you just create one in the options menu, or I forget where it's easy. You'll see it. We got some big hitters coming up after this, so I really need to get him out here. Got that pickup artist quirk too, so I'll see if we can take advantage of that here.
All 1.
Gotta throw strikes. There we go.
Nope.
Oh my gosh. Squeeze.
I got 3 and 2.
Oh goodness. Not a good start. The worst hits to give up.
That is third.
Jam the guy and he still muscles it out.
Lindor.
But I got behind the first two pitchers, their first two batters, so. Of course, Lindor, just terrific player, can hit fastballs really well.
Ball.
What the heck's up in the back?
Out.
Here's auto fielding for you. Stuff in the, well, yeah, I'm surprised the runner went, but this wasn't hit hard enough. Let's look at the lineup here, see if we want to, this is just good hitters coming up. Putting them on doesn't really do a whole lot. First pitch hitter though, so we want to be careful of that.
Ball, that's off the plate. Ball, that's out.
Having trouble throwing strikes today. Getting out for a run. Oh, quickly, 2-0 already.
Batting fifth, the first baseman, Lowe. Stand and out.
Check his perch real quick. Go back to that curveball.
One ball, one strike.
Wow, good dispersion. I was talking up Nico Goodrum's defense.
The third baseman.
There.
Okay. Run here.
Welcome to the Tigers in 2020, everyone. Already 23 pitches. In the rain, what a day. Beautiful pitch. His best pitch of the inning.
No ball, two strikes. One ball, two strikes. Inside, ball two.
Save the run from scoring.
Hey,
Batting seven.
That got through the run and easily scored, so that was a decent play.
Naquin.
ball.
A lot of balls.
That's a ball.
Oh my goodness.
Safe.
Oh goodness. Put my thought too. Can make it 4-0. An error. 2-run error so far.
The designated hitter. Come and go. None and out.
Gotta settle him down. He's not pitching well at all.
Ball match up front. Inside, ball. Hey!
35 pitches.
Hey! 2-2, Sam.
Oh my gosh. That was a rough inning. I mix up the meter power. Just depends. No real method to it. Well, when you get down early, the key is try to let that be the only big inning.
Leading off for the Tigers, the first baseman, C.J. Cron.
Ball. 1-1. Outside, that's the ball. There you go.
No, come on.
Oh.
Batting fifth, the right fielder, number 4, Cameron Maybe. Batting seventh, the third baseman, Gamer Angeloni.
No. That's right.
Not looking to steal here, down 4 runs.
2-0.
Oh. The high slider comes in faster than I think it is.
Nope. Outside.
Should be in the gas. Oh, no, go! Oh my god. Gotta be kidding me. That's unfortunate.
Batting eighth, the catcher, Austin Roman.
Ball 1, no strike. That's the ball. 2 balls, no strike.
Curious where they scored that. Oh, that's a bummer. They took away his double. Jeez.
You got 2 balls, 1 strike. Hey, 2.
Leading off for the Indians, the catcher, Roberto Perez.
Hey! Ball, that pitch is out. Two balls, 1 strike, count. Two balls, 2 strikes.
The batter, number 7, second baseman, Jason Hernandez.
Top of the order here.
Nope, that's inside.
Not hitting the spot on the meter. I always have trouble with lefties. It feels weird to
The
me.
center fielder, number 35, Oscar Mercado.
No, he's in there.
Oh, and the AI in there. Hitting runs.
No, he's safe.
Now batting, the shortstop, Francisco Lindor.
Count 1-0. Oh, that's kicked out. Aye.
I don't think there is. Much better inning for Boyd.
Leading off for Detroit, the left fielder, Travis Demaret.
Get down. There we go.
Up next for the Tigers, the center fielder, Victor Reyes.
Off the plate, ball 1.
Just under it. Oh, that's going to drop. There's that kind of weird slow runner animation, but
Now batting, the shortstop,
definitely been able to drop singles in today. He's just got power, low contact. Let's see if I push the head.
Oh, that's out. Count is 2-1. Yeah.
Nico. Another double play, buddy. That's two. Two double plays and 2 at bats for Michael Vivian.
now batting, designated hitter, Miguel Cabrera.
That's in. Ball 2.
Off the wall. Okay. If Miguel can stretch it. Oh, run, big guy. Oh.
Check. You're out.
Good throw. Otherwise, you would have been safe. Gotta run though. See who's saying Guerrero's gonna hit 240. He's 2 for 2. 2 singles. Love getting a stiff how you want me.
Leading off for the Indians, the right fielder, Ranbir Reyes.
Put this ball below the zone if I can.
Look out. 1-1. Inside. Ball 1. Aye. 3 balls, 2 strikes.
Now batting, the first baseman, Lowe. Santana.
Just every roll speed. Just bad roll speed for the Tigers.
The third baseman, Jose Ramirez. The left fielder, number 30, Tyler Naquin.
Nope. That's inside.
Should be an easy double play. Just the one strikeout still.
Leading off for Detroit, the second baseman, Jonathan Lowe.
That's the first 2-seamers though.
Ball 1. 1 ball, 1 strike. Two balls, 1 strike. Count ball.
Now batting, the first baseman, TJ Lowe.
Nope, that's the ball. Ball one, no.
Umpires are really small strike zones there.
Ball two. Two balls, no strike. Ball inside. Nope, that's inside. Ball four.
Now batting, right fielder, Cameron Lowe.
Looking to right field here if I can. Tried to hold back on that.
I got to count 1 and 2. I got to count 2 and 2.
Oof, might have been a better play. Oh. Thanks so much.
Now batting, third baseman, Gamer Candelario.
Third double play today. Whew, what a bad team.
Leading up for the Indians, the designated hitter, come and go, Santana.
Ball inside.
The catcher, number 55, Roberto Perez.
I got a ball, 1 strike.
Oh, wow. Thought that was routine. They give us a lot of home runs, I'm sure. No, Carlos, I haven't. The arch. That's a huge arc on that.
Up next for Cleveland, the second baseman, Jacob Hernandez.
0-1's the count. One ball, 2 strikes, the count.
The center fielder, number 35, Oscar Mercado.
Ball. 1-0. Count is 1 and 2.
There we go. Back-to-back strikeouts there. Oh, that's interesting, Adrian. That is, as long as you throw strikes in your warm-ups. That seems kind of, I don't know, that's another reason why I probably want to leave it off. It's already too easy to throw strikes. No, Boyd had his perhaps, well, he gave up a home run, but he had a decent inning. Put Nova down for now. Hopefully Buck farm that this time.
Ball, that's low.
Well, I'd like to be at 75 pitches by the end of this inning, so I'm on pace for that right now.
Ball, that's out.
I probably broke my bat to finish that swing, so. I just got under that. That's power at 3, right? He did in 2005. He's got to win a home run.
The left fielder, Travis Demers.
This game's, usually each year though this game comes out, it's a lot of power in the beginning. I think it's just to get people excited. As patches come out, we might have to increase that power.
No, that's low.
Oh, first thing of the day.
Now batting, the center fielder, Victor.
Hit that pitch and a single.
Ball, 1.
Real nice pitch to hit left field there. Try. Oof, very late. Huh? That's a stick of toys on at 76 pitches for
Leading
now.
up for the Indians, the shortstop, Francisco Lindor.
And 2 of those runs, unearned runs, so he's not pitching terrible today.
The right fielder, number 32, Ronby.
They had 2 unearned runs, and Demerit had a single after I had that base running error that could have driven in 2, so it very well could be 3-3 right now.
We got time.
That's the pitch call here.
That's out. Ball. That's inside. Aye. Ball. That's inside. Can't lose, ball.
Gonna get that. Oh my god. Jeez.
Now that first
That
baseman,
happens. I see that all the time in baseball.
Santana.
Equally as frustrating. It's not a natural center fielder out there, keep in mind. Good fielder, a great fielder would have gotten that, at least. Those were playing deep pays off, because that would have been a double. Haven't really been checking my defensive alignments, just
Up
kind of
next for Cleveland,
just trusting the game here. So far so good. A lot of deep outfielders, but Cleveland's good.
Ramirez.
See if there's any lefties too. Just in case we need a lefty to end the inning here. Trying to relax over there.
Count 1-0. Aye.
The left fielder, number 30, Tyler Naquin. Ladies and gentlemen, your attention please. Now pitching for Detroit, number 44, Daniel Norris.
0-1. That's a ball. We got 1 ball, 1 strike.
Oh, come on. Goodness gracious. Thank goodness. Well, I'll probably film the north in for a little bit.
Leading off for Detroit.
Hang on.
This
That time.
Nico.
I think we're okay with the farmer for now.
All one. Hey. 1-1.
Took a bad route. As soon as I get this thing.
Now batting, the designated hitter, Miguel Cabrera. The batter, number 8, second baseman, Jonathan Jones.
Ball one, no play. I got 2-1 to count. Ball in. Thank you.
Single. Almost there, right?
Now batting, the first baseman, DJ Lowe.
I'm the singles today. Ooh, goodness.
0-2 is the count.
Wow. Good pitches.
Leading up for the
Let's see what I want to do this time here.
the designated hitter, come and go, Santana.
Nope. Ball one. Counts 1-0. Two and 0. Two count.
The catcher, number
Daniel
55.
Norris.
Roberto Perez.
Ball one. Look out, 1-1. Hey! 2 balls, 2 strikes. Hey!
Pitching well. Never leading in.
The batter, number 7. Second baseman, Jacob Hernandez.
Oh, that gets carried. Two balls, 1 strike. Count 3-1.
We saw, before the game started, a few relief pitchers going an inning and a third, and that's exactly what Daniel Norris just did there. So, again, it's nothing too unrealistic at all. He might
Leading off
actually
with
pitch a little bit more than
the right
the
fielder.
farmer's just chilling in the rain.
Maybe.
Yeah, I might just leave him in. He's pitching okay, especially if we score. Foul ball. Kind of routine. Phil. Does it show the wind still? I don't see it anywhere. Didn't it used to show the direction the wind was
Now
blowing?
batting, the third baseman,
Maybe when
and
we're
the
batting. Yeah, I should show it here somewhere. Yeah, there goes 10. Oh, there's a win. That explains Perez's home run. That ball moved a lot. Get down. Damn it. I hate their center fielder. Okay, there you go. Good swing.
Now batting, catcher,
Quick Candelario, round 2 doubles. So another quick inning here.
Nope, outside. Two balls, no strikes.
But inning behind the pitch total here.
Ball 3. Ball 4. First base.
Now batting, left fielder, Travis Demeritte.
One out. Ball, that's out.
Gosh. Good swings, just hitting a foul.
He's out.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the traditional 7th-inning stretch.
Actually, I'm gonna put Buck Farm around. Still not have one of our lefties go too long.
Your attention, please. Now pitching for Detroit, number 45, Buck Farmer.
I'm pitching up.
Now batting, shortstop, Francisco Lindor.
I got to count 1 and 2.
Quick.
The right fielder, number 32, Gandhi.
Bolton's been sharp so far. Good, just not that first inning.
Pull, that's inside. 2-1.
Now batting, the first
I think the
baseman,
only change I could
Lowe.
really think to make right now is maybe putting reaction time back to 5. Just that default. Just curious to see.
Now
Oh,
batting,
Buck.
the third baseman, Ron Perez.
Oh, that's off the plate.
Nice pitch.
Your attention, please. Now pitching for the Indians, number 62, Nick Whitcraft. Leading off for Detroit, the center fielder, Victor.
Yeah, TJ, I see what you're saying about Oakland Stadium holding you back, but one thing to think about, I considered taking them because I thought they'd be a fun team, is you got to think, I honestly think in MLB The Show next year you will have a stadium creator. So if you were to do a carryover save, and if you play it like I do, where you play just one season, you'd be building a new stadium with that team. So I actually, the same thing with Tampa, I thought about taking one of those two teams and, moving Tampa to Montreal, but I didn't want to play in a weird, fictitious stadium that was only holding 9,000 people. So, well, if we score some runs, I'll bring in Cedeno. Otherwise, Wilson's fine. You pitcher, fastball, slider, changeup. I think you bring in anybody. Nick Whitaker. Okay, nothing crazy. Good pitcher though.
Nope. Ball one, no strike. Nope, inside, ball two.
I'm trying to remember if my sliders this year, I'm trying to remember if I called for adjusting the bullpen when they go, or adjusting manager hook. I don't think I did I? Let me check really quick, because I know some others may be wondering. I know I took part of that off because I just wasn't finding it necessary anymore. Let's see. Yeah, no, just sim at 8. Okay, cool. Wait.
Ball, now. That's out.
Look at that. Hit that pitch. Walk, single. I think that was off that.
Now batting, the shortstop,
Nico, no double plays.
Hey.
Good pickup. I was actually thinking of stealing on that pitch. I didn't give the command, but I was thinking about it.
No, he did that.
2 throwers in a row, no lead. And that may seem insignificant, but again, that's how you get throwaways and things like that, extra errors.
Well, ball two.
I tried to steal on that pitch, but I don't think I did it in time. Oh, goodness. Nico.
Hey, he's good. We got 3 balls and 2
Wow.
strikes.
Just kind of froze. It's not where I was thinking it would be.
He's going.
The batter, the designated hitter, Miguel Cabrera.
Oh, one's the count.
Again, same thing. I've been knocked out, probably.
The batter number 8, second baseman, Jonathan Jones.
Oh gosh.
I got the count. 0 and 2.
What a fancy one.
Steal. 1 ball, 2 strikes, the count. Got it.
Leading up for the Indians, the left fielder, Tyler Naquin. Ladies and gentlemen, your attention please. Now pitching for the Tigers, number 31, Alex Wilson.
Ball, that's right.
Now batting, the designated hitter, Domingo Santana.
0 and 1.
4 runs in the first, just that home run after that. But we just aren't scoring runs ourselves. So. Even crummy cyber stuff and stuff like that.
The catcher, number 55, Roberto Perez.
0 one's the count. 1 and 1. The count is 1 and 2.
Better, but
I got the count 2 and 2.
Anthony.
Attention please. Now pitching for the Indians.
One of the reasons I still just go for fresh at bat here, trying to get on base with going behind him. Leone, I guess. Fastball, pretty much all fastballs.
Ball, that's outside.
Routine flat, something the default game doesn't want you to hit too many of. People get bored. But they're ahead of baseball.
Oh and 1.
Got some bad swings today. Good amount of walks though.
That's a ball. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Pretty much what you'd expect from opening day for the Tigers. Underwhelming. With the batting picking up.
The right fielder, number 4, Cameron Mayberry.
Just a reminder, I'll be streaming Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, Sunday night, 7 p.m. Eastern. Get you caught up on my franchise, give you a chance to ask questions about the sliders. Let's do some post-game coverage here and look at some measurables. Well, yeah, about what you'd expect from a team playing a ball. My dad looks very bored. She'll be glad this game's over, as I'm sure a lot of you will be. But let's do some quick post-game analysis here.
The final line score for
Take a look at the box first here.
For the victorious
Tigers should call only 6 times. They've been to a few double plays though. 3 of them. 3 walks and 29 at-bats. That's very good.
For the Tigers,
7 hits, a lot of singles though. All singles. Had a should have been a double, but base running error.
2 hours and 55 minutes.
Go there, just a lone RBI.
This afternoon's paid attendance at
2-run error.
35,041. The Indians
Boyd pitched pretty well after the first.
and remind you to
They
please
gave up 4 runs.
drive home safely.
Just 3 earned. Bullpen pitched quite well. 8 strikeouts for the Tigers, just 1 walk. But gave up 11 hits. Let's do some quick batting average for balls in play calculation here. So I'm just pulling up my little batting average calculator. This is again just I go to captaincalculator.com. Shout out to them. They have a nice BIP calculator. And I'm going to do Tigers first here. So they had 7 hits, 0 home runs, 29 at-bats. Make sure you're doing at-bats, not plate appearances, or early difference. Where's me? Lowe. Only struck out 6 times. No sacrifice flies. Actually, ours was 304, believe it or not. So right on the nose. 7 hits, no home runs, 29 at-bats, 6 strikeouts, 0 sac flies. 304. If we do Cleveland here, these will be higher for sure. 11 hits. They had 1 home run, which will actually bring that down a little bit. 35 at bats. They had 8 strikeouts, which will increase their batting average ball in play. And no sac flies. They had a 385, so again, nothing too crazy, even for a lot of those seeing eye singles. Nothing too crazy, so we don't need to make any changes just yet. So, Bieber pitched pretty well. Defense played really well behind him. The bullpen came in and took care of things. Real quick, let's do some Cleveland pitching analysis here. They threw 56% strikes. Even a tad bit low, 53 first pitch. And that led to quite a few walks there. So they were a little, didn't throw as many strikes as you think, and that's even with the slider at 6 for consistency. Tigers threw 62%. First pitch were a little low. And again, that got us into some trouble, especially with Boyd. I got that his first pitch was a lot lower than some of the others. Yeah, 46%. You can see that started to get better, but yeah, Boyd struggled with those.
Batting analysis. This is where we can learn a lot. Foul balls for the Tigers, 13%. Pretty darn good. Cleveland, 14%. Perfect 15 is about the average MLB game. Again, not every game will be that way. We look at balls that were swung at. We're combining the missed percentage plus the strikeout percentage. 21% is roughly the MLB average. 22% for Cleveland. Again, perfect with 8 strikeouts. Ours was 24%, so a bit high, and you saw those. I had a few bad swings today. I'm chasing some sliders there along the way. But overall, yeah, just played really well. Again, I'm really happy with the sliders. They're getting really good feedback. And overall, I'm impressed with them. Like I really do think this is the best slider set I've made so far. And a lot of that's just because, let me make it very clear that the vast majority of success of any slider set's a good game. And MLB The Show has made just a really, really fantastic, gameplay game. The gameplay in the game is really solid. Of course, there's places that can be improved. But gameplay out of the box, it plays really well. I mean, it's up there with NBA 2K. To me, those are the two best games as far as out of the box gameplay goes. Yeah, so EA Sports doesn't quite keep up with some of the other gaming studios when it comes to gameplay. Again, I'm seeing a big trend towards kind of that arcadey style. So I'm going to save this for now, though, because I have not even had dinner yet, and it's getting late. So, hey, thanks for watching, everyone. Again, I'll stream again Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern. It'll probably be like game 3 of the season, I'm thinking, or so. And again, Sundays as well. But follow me on Twitter, MikeLowe47. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. I do want to, real quick, I know there are some questions here. Let me check those, and then I'll officially say goodnight. Oh, yeah, thanks, guys. Okay, see you next time.